You're watching the GameSpot co-op stage, sponsored by LEGO Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the GameSpot co-op stage. I am Chris Waters here in the host chair, joined by three fine hosts here on the couch: Andrea Rene, iJustine, and Jeff Cannata. Y'all, we've been having some really interesting discussions about a breadth of E3 stuff. One of the topics the topic we're gonna wrap with now is reinvented franchises, franchises coming back from the distant past, or maybe more recent games just getting a whole new kind of vibe, a whole new kind of look. Let's start off with one of the biggest new announcements of E3 2016, Quake.
I'm so excited. This is like basically
couch just quaked.
My entire high school experience was like we had Quake hidden on like secret directories. So we would go in and play like we'd supposed to be doing in our computer programming classes. Like we would have our programs done really, really quickly, and then we'd be like, all right, Alt Tab, and then we would start playing Quake. And so for me, that is like where I really started playing PC first-person shooters. I mean, we would go to like cyber cafes back in the day because that was a thing. And so when I saw...
You lived in a cool town.
No, it wasn't that cool. We had to drive like 2.5 hours to get there.
Okay,
but it
fair
was
enough.
worth it. So just being able to like go back and just play Quake and I'm
All right.
so excited.
So
I'm
no, let me ask you
speechless.
this then. So do you want it to be like full-on old school Quake? You want it, or do you want it to have some fresh new element to it?
I mean, I think I do want to have it a little bit fresh. Like even we're talking about Doom too before the cameras came back on. Like it just feels faster, feels fresher, because I think you do sort of need that kind of thing. So I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, so what did you like about Quake? To you, in terms of gameplay, what's that thing that you like that like really needs to be represented as the soul of that game?
I mean, I loved being able to sort of just play with people and have sort of that fun, competitive kind of advantage too as well, and just have it. I mean, Quake Arena, it was just, I don't know, I'm so speechless because I'm so freaking excited.
I got a chance to talk to Tim
I
Willits
love that.
from id yesterday.
Tell us everything.
So it was interesting because he echoes the sentiment of fans. Obviously, he's been at id a long time. It's like we want to keep it, quintessential Quake, but now we're in a whole new era of hardware, and they said it's going to be an unlocked frame rate. It will move as fast as the hardware you can throw at it. And I said that's a really interesting idea. I said, is this a new pay to win? Is it a new, like, however much PC I can afford is like how much better of an experience I can have?
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting idea because, we're in this very competitive era. It's like, well, how is that going to affect esports, particularly with Quake? And then also on the other side, what is going to be different? You talk about unique champions with special abilities, and obviously it's rooted in Quake's, origins, but it really kind of smacked to me of hero shooter.
Oh yeah.
So I asked him straight up, would you call this a hero shooter? And he said yes.
Well, that's the new hotness, right? We got Overwatch, we got Lawbreakers is going to be that.
Battleborn.
Yeah, Battleborn. I mean, I think the MOBA influence on competitive multiplayer shooters is tangible, and I think actually it's really fun. I mean, I'm enjoying Overwatch so much because of that. And it's better than just like waiting for a spawn of a weapon, but it's very much different than Quake, right?
For sure, and I think the hard part too with esports is trying to keep that competitive advantage, but also keep it an even playing field for all the players. So that's going to also be sort of interesting, like how are they going to work that out and different things like that. Another thing too, we were talking about before, like the Xbox Arena, like how are they going to do this and make sort of esports for everyone, you know?
Very intriguing. Yeah, I was talking with Aaron Greenberg yesterday about the arena, and they're hoping, because one day I want to, throw like the Chris Waters Invitational Rocket League tournament on a weekend.
Chris Waters Memorial.
Memorial?
I mean, do we just remember when you used to play video games?
I mean, come on, man. I'm healthy. But yes, please do that. I will put that in my will. Institute that in case of my tragic passing. Justine, you mentioned another game we're going to talk about during this segment. Recently released to rave reviews, Doom.
Man, I had such a good time. We did one of the launch events, so we did a tournament with like a bunch of different athletes, and I was teamed up with Antonio Brown, which I was so excited because I'm from Pittsburgh. So being able to play in sort of our competitive tournament with Antonio, and we ended up actually winning. I mean, it still has. Yeah,
all right.
Although he took the trophy, and I really wanted it. Antonio, please
give me that
to share
trophy.
this.
Yeah.
But it's just so fun because it still has that feel of like old school Doom, but yet it feels new, it feels fresh, and it's fast.
Well, I think the magic sauce they found with Doom is saying, hey, there was a time when every shooter didn't behave the same, or maybe they all did behave the same, but it's different than they behave now. There was a time when you didn't run behind cover and wait for your health to replenish. There were actually health packs. And I think they figured out a really fun way to incentivize moving forward through the game rather than retreating and getting better. Healthier. And I think that mentality, that sort of old school mentality, we were ripe for a return to that. And I don't know if Quake is the same. I don't know if Quake, I feel like there's 3 or 4 different projects that all said, hey, we're going to be that old kind of Quake game. Lawbreakers is that. That John Romero Kickstarter shooter is that. So I don't know. I feel like there's a glut of those. And I don't know.
Doom was first to be like, look, here it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did such a good job. And even just the reviews, and even my friends from like back in the day when we used to, again, hide it on secret directories, it was just cool because it really did have that feel. But for people who might have never played it, like kids today are like, yeah, I'll pick this up, I'll play it. It's so fun.
think one of the things for me that Doom did was, I mean, it looks gorgeous, like all the effects, it's gorgeous, very gory and gross. But it's also what I was imagining when I was playing Doom back in the day.
Right.
Like when that imp crumbles in this bloody mess, I'm imagining what happens in Doom now.
Right.
But I'm now getting to see it and question my own sanity. All right, let's shift gears away from the shooter for a second and talk about a game that's had a great showing here at the show, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is, in many ways, I mean, here's the question. Is this a reinvention of a Zelda formula, or is it going all the way back to that very first Zelda?
I mean, I think it's an evolution. I mean, it's a completely different gameplay experience from the sense of perspective, but at the heart of what Zelda is exploration, puzzle game, adventure. It ticks all those boxes. I mean, and Jeff, you obviously had the most hands-on time with anybody here, but when you look at it, even the art style looks like Zelda. It puts you right back in that world, and the music and the vistas and everything just really encapsulates what Zelda is, but with a whole new experience.
I gotta say, I've seen it, in the trailer and in the demo, that like walking through the grass up to this sort of cliff area to like overlook. Yeah. I still like get a little flutter. Like inside, it's like it's calling to me. I don't know, and I've played a bunch of Zelda games over the years and grown increasingly sort of dissatisfied with the console ones as they shackle you to these lengthy tutorial sequences. And I understand they're trying why they would do that, but that original Zelda on NES, a lot of people, it's still their favorite because it put you in the world with relatively little fanfare or direction and was like, have an adventure.
Have fun.
Well, we don't know. I mean, there's a lot more to toot here. There's maybe more tutorials because there's a lot to toot. I mean, there are a lot of systems in this game is what I mean to say. And I think that's kind of exciting, the idea that you're in a Zelda world that you can just hang out in. We've never had that really. I mean, maybe that first one, but even that, you were moving from point to point, getting the next thing to get you the next, temple.
Dungeon, the temple, yeah.
And here it feels like there really is a whole wide variety of things to do to just hang out in that world. Cook things and hunt and, it's incredible there. And the fact that all of the weapons in the game deteriorate and break down, so you're constantly, there's an ecosystem of resources. So it requires you to constantly be getting new weapons and replenishing your supplies of things and cooking things to give you bonuses and replenish your health. I mean, are there even bottles to get fairies in? I don't know. You replenish your health with food in this game.
Oh, putting stuff in bottles is so fun. It's gotta be.
It's gotta be.
My favorite part about the weapons degrading over time is I don't feel bad about just chucking them at people.
Right.
Being able to throw things at people in video games is one of my personal favorite things to do.
It sounds like a lot of work. I'm exhausted already.
Yeah.
Cooking in a game? I don't even like to cook that much at
like
home.
one chop on a tree and it explodes into kindling.
That's good. Did they mention anything at all about how Amiibo might play into this at all, or?
Well, they showed the wolf Amiibo. If you stick the wolf Amiibo on the Wii U, you get a wolf companion. Wolf Link hangs out with real Link. I don't know how that works in the lore.
Cool.
But he hangs out and he'll hunt for you and do cool stuff for you, and he'd be your dog friend.
Oh,
definitely
man.
worth the Amiibo
He brings me back squirrel meat. We are good. All right, that's enough talking about totally age-appropriate games. Let's talk about bloody, horrible killing again. God of War. God of War made a super splash at the beginning of PlayStation's press conference. You know,
Talk about throwing weapons at people.
right?
You are in for some fun.
Yeah. So, okay. All right, Mister. I've played them behind closed doors. Let's
There's a
have it,
button to
Jeff.
throw it, and then a separate button to pull it back.
Oh, okay.
So you
Like-
decide when you want to have it. You throw it, and then you can like melee a dude, and then pull it. It's Thor the game. You're Thor. You know how Thor throws his hammer, and then anytime he wants
And
it,
he punches another guy, and then he's like, "Bring me back my hammer,"
Yeah,
and then
you know that part when Thor did that?
Yeah. With
That
Thor
you do
Thoring,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, he's full on Thor.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Kratos is back. He has apparently washed off the ashes of his dead family, so he has a relatively normal skin tone. Got a beard. He's looking a little old, and he's got a little kid.
Yeah.
Dad Kratos, how do we feel about this?
He's not fit to be anybody's father. Let's be
That
honest.
is absolutely true. Absolutely
You've
true.
played God of War, you know this.
Yeah. It's a warning tale about.
There's some interesting moments though in that trailer of, you know, that cold disappointment, the like, you know, don't be sorry, be better. Like that harsh, like,
Yeah.
okay, like this is what Kratos trying his level best to be a dad looks like. It's kind of grim, but you know, that making a relationship part of that game, and not just a relationship that's Kratos wishing that someone wasn't dead or wishing that someone was dead. Those are pretty much his two notes.
Honestly, this is one of the highlights of the entire convention for me, because I think it represents where we are as an industry, and it gives me so much hope, because this franchise is so traditionally juvenile. I mean, it's about boobies and killing stuff and yelling, and it is a very specific kind of thing, and that's fun, and we still have a lot of that.
Sure.
But what we were getting more and more of is what this game looks to be, so much richer and deeper and subtle and nuanced and about something, right? Like, you talk about him being an unfit father. I think that's the journey of this character. I think by the end, he's gonna learn something from his son. He's gonna soften, and we're gonna see actual character development and have something that is a piece of entertainment that sits alongside other narrative pieces of entertainment, as makes me feel and think and actually have it be about something. And I find that so hopeful.
It's a really good point, too, because I can take this franchise in a whole different world. I mean, you know, what could the next one be? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And, man, this trailer was so good.
I mean, Kratos is totally gonna die at the end, and then the next one's the boy.
Oh, yeah. But, hey, you never know.
Spoilers. I think that when you talk about reboots, well, you know what we're doing in this whole segment, just the visual change between this and the previous, you know, we can even just go to the trilogy. I mean, it looks completely different. I mean, the perspective is really different.
Yeah.
It has this like grittier feel to it. A lot of people that I talked to about it were saying it kind of feels a lot like The Last of Us in a certain way, visually. And, you know, this really, you feel like you're part of the world. And the God of War franchise is known for having these really rich visuals to begin with. You know, like, I remember playing God of War 3 and just being wowed by some of the cinematics in that
And
game.
the scale of that game, too.
Right.
That you are playing a level that turns out to be on the back of a Titan that's climbing a giant mountain.
Well,
Right.
this thing that we see on screen right now, this troll fight, they said this is not a boss battle. This is just a random character that you'll encounter a few times in the game.
That's crazy.
The boss battles are going to be even bigger scale than this, so I think we're in
That's
for
awesome.
more of that.
Are we intrigued with the apparent sort of shift from Greek Roman mythology to Norse mythology?
I think it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you bring up Last of Us. I think that and sort of what they did with Tomb Raider and Uncharted. Naughty Dog is at the forefront of what I'm talking about with regards to being hopeful for the industry. That it's
Storytelling,
a deepening richness of storytelling, and I just think to do that with God of War, I find that to be so exciting. And
All right.
Yeah.
Taking on the most unlikely ones.
Yeah.
You know, have that kind of change. Let's talk about one more before we wrap here. This is one was kind of a deep cut, going all the way back to 2000, whenever, when a little game called Prey came out. The first-person shooter starring a Native American named Tommy Hawk.
Yeah.
Really? And it went on to be like a shooter of, some people remember it very fondly. I think that it, had some cool
Those
parts
people must
to it.
not have played it.
Yeah, Jeff did not remember.
The first
particularly
hour
fondly.
of that game is awesome, but after that, it's not good.
A lot of aliens. Your girlfriend gets turned into a giant scorpion alien. It's pretty brutal. You gotta
Yeah,
end
there's
that
a lot of
relationship.
space stuff at the end that is not
But there's
good.
some gravity stuff that was interesting.
Yeah.
When you died, you went to a land of wind and ghosts, and then if you just shot the ghosts, you were alive again. Prey is not any of those things anymore.
I don't even know why they're using the same name. Like, it's
I agree.
so confusing. And, you know, I talked to some people about this. I talked to Andrew Goldfarb about this over at IGN. We were like, why are they even, like, making this the same
It's not like
thing?
there's a lot of cachet in that name.
And I made a joke about, like, well, they've got the trademarks and the copyrights and the
They paid a lot of money for
website.
that stuff.
You know, like, maybe they're just, like, recycling it, but it doesn't feel like Prey at all. And I think that they probably would have been better off.
I didn't play
just
it,
really
so-
rebooting
Especially given that they did show a Prey 2 a
miss
couple
out,
years
did I?
ago,
No,
and
you
this
did
is a
not.
totally different game. But the game
Yeah.
that it is, let's talk about the trailer we saw during the Bethesda press conference. Sort of a Groundhog Day looking kind of trailer. This one sort of guy is going through his routine, seems to be doing the same kind of thing every day. Transports himself to a weird place where there's shadow things attacking him. He's also in space. I mean, did you guys get anything out of it that you thought was intriguing?
I was very intrigued. Were you not intrigued?
Yeah, I was super
Yeah.
intrigued. Obviously, he's got some kind of something happening with his eye.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got a pink eye. It's a game about pink eye.
Well, I think that the eye thing is like, all right, I'm going back to this eye thing to do get my powers or this simulation going. I think there's a lot of Easter eggs in there too. Pete Hines, sort of the director of PR over there, was saying, watch that trailer a few more times if you're interested. You might spot a few more things in there. But yeah, bringing that one back, rebooting a franchise that could
And
even be called a franchise to begin with.
One game, rebooting it. I don't know. I thought that game looked really cool. I love the psychological element that they're bringing in, and I want to see more of that. I was really intrigued by what I saw for sure.
Maybe it's a good reboot. Just
Well, but I would have been
Start over.
intrigued if they had shown that trailer and then a different title came up.
True.
I would have been just as intrigued. I want to see that game, and
Yeah.
the fact that it came up with a title like that, I was like, well, that's
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Any reboots kicking around in your brain that you just like, you want that one to come back that maybe doesn't exist, or maybe another one we haven't talked about that you're excited about?
Well, what we haven't talked about that just came out like a week ago was Mirror's Edge.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Mirror's Edge
Right.
Catalyst is, you know, a lot of people at first thought it was going to be like a sequel or an origin story, prequel, excuse me, but it's actually more of a reboot.
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of just a
Trust
spiritual
me,
successor.
I got flamed by the internet when I called it a prequel. They're like, listen here,
Uh-huh.
you got this wrong.
There are some opinions out there.
And so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, my bad. It's a reboot, and you know, I thought what they did with that game was, you know, I thought they did a great job rebooting it. You know, there's mixed opinions out there about Mirror's Edge, but I thought that was one that a lot of fans were excited to see come back.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
we saw the conceptual gameplay
Yeah.
at E3 last year. Everyone was like super excited that it was being worked on. But what did you guys play?
Mirror's Edge, I haven't had a chance because it kind of came out right now.
Yeah.
So I love that it happened, and I really want to play it, but I haven't had a chance. But Resident Evil has a 7 at the end of it, but I think it's a reboot, right? You played it.
I don't know what was going on in VR. I mean, there was like mannequins falling in front of me, and they were scaring. Like the things that shouldn't scare you was like scaring the crap out of me. Like, which is the crazy part about VR, because the things that are supposed to scare you are going to scare you extra.
I mean, Resident Evil's known for the jump scares.
But it can't.
Gosh,
that game
yeah.
can't look anything less like Resident Evil. I mean,
And especially recent Resident Evils have not really necessarily been about that kind of horror tone, that like
been more action-based,
dread. They're
yeah.
much more action-based, yeah. And so to see that it's a game that's going to be fully in VR, and also really leaning a lot towards, I think, the success is found by a lot of indie horror titles recently.
Right.
It's intriguing for me, even though I will not play it.
even
Not
in
into
non-VR, you wouldn't play it.
Man, I get scared real easy.
What about with all the lights on? You know, like in broad daylight, when you got a friend.
It's fine in broad daylight, but then when I go to sleep, they visit me in my dreams, and I don't sleep well, and I get real
Play
cranky.
some LEGO Dimensions before you go to bed. You'll be fine.
Get the palate cleanser in there.
Exactly.
I've tried it. It doesn't work. Well, really exciting, I think, to have excitement around reboots, especially in an industry when we have a lot of nostalgia-fueled, decisions made by gaming companies, to have ones that we sort of are interested in or see hope in or have a great time with or, flail around and just get super giddy excited about. It's a great sign.
Well, my hope is that every game will have a Lego version. to be honest with you.
Lego-ize
I
everyone.
would be so happy. Like, I think it was like when the Lego movie game came out, I played it on Xbox, I played it on DS, and then I played it on PC, and I was like, well, I'm happy.
Well,
You know,
I'm
come
sure
to think of it, like Lego Skyrim would be pretty rad.
God, it'd be great.
My goodness, you guys. I'm sure the sponsors of this stage are going to be very happy to hear that.
I'm such a big fan. I have a problem.
TT Games is the best.
They are really awesome, and they sponsored this segment, and so thank you to them, and thank you to all of you for joining us for day 2 of our live coverage here from the GameSpot co-op stage. Andrea Rene, iJustine, Jeff Cannata, thank you all so much.
Thank you, Chris.
you, Chris.
It's been a blast to hang out with you guys and talk about games, and we've got more coming for you tomorrow, folks. Come on back to GameSpot.com at 10 a.m. for MatPat and more GameSpot coverage of E3 2016. Until then, have a great night.